Welcome back to Citizens Forum. I'm Will Smith, and it's July 31st, 2019. My guest in this segment is Beck Peacock. He's a local author of the book Learning to Leave. And I want to talk today about a book that I got. It's called And They Knew Each Other, The End of Sexual Violence. It's by two people, Duhm and Sabine Lichtenfels, and they're in an eco-village in Portugal. They're from Germany originally. I bought this book. It just came out in March. In the English translation, and I liked it so much that I bought a bunch of copies and gave them to some of my friends that I wanted to talk about it with, and Beck is one of those people. And I just like to read this back of the book because this book got me so excited about where we're going with the world that I want to talk about it. So, sexual love and altruism, eros and agape, constitute a spiritual emotional unit. Within the body-soul organism of the human being, there is a deep connection between the thinking organ, the sexual organ, and the heart organ. When the energy flows from the sexual area meets up inside the heart with the energy flows from the head, the initial shining light image of the human being emerges. The old Egyptians called it the Merkabah. And I know from where we're sitting in the world today, it may not look like we're headed for a golden age, but these people and other people in the world today are working on new ways of living that I think are going to integrate us with each other and the planet in a much better way than we're doing now. So that's my basic position. And now, without further ado, I'd like to invite Beck to start off the conversation.
Well, it's a very interesting book that you gave me. And I really got into it. The authors have a relationship and have had one for 30 years, Dieter and Sabine, and it works. It works for them, and it seems to work for a number of people. And they came out with what they call an erotic manifesto. That's what they call the book, because in a sense it takes another look, a new look, at the nature of the relationships that our society, that they allow.
Right.
And that is marriage, a contract for life, monogamy within that relationship. And the fact is, it doesn't work very well. As you said, I wrote a book, a bestseller in its field actually, called Learning to Leave. And one of the things we found, which wasn't a total surprise, is that traditional marriages are in deep trouble, obviously. The contract that you make for life, where do you make another contract like that? I'm going to do this for the next 50 years until I die, or whatever. You make the contract when you're maybe in your early 20s or late 20s, and you blithely go into them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with certainly romantic relationships, but the fact is that 50% of the marriages end in divorce. I mean,
right.
That's a statistic that's held up for quite a while now. So something's not working with that contract. And yet we continually go back to that contract after we've gotten divorced once and do it again and end up in a second divorce, or be part of the 25% who don't get divorced, who are living in quiet desperation or in argumentative desperation.
Well, one of the things that they brought up is that it doesn't work, but we're in this field that this is what's expected of us. But in fact, it's like promising that you're not going to breathe or you're not going to eat or something like that. It's a very difficult thing, and also our situation as humans has changed, because at first, during the past, the history of marriage as we know it, it's been a survival mechanism more than anything else. I mean, getting married and dividing the labor up like that to raise kids and everything. But it's no longer like that. It's just not like that at all, is it?
Well, I'm not in my 20s anymore, obviously. But what I see going on and what I hear going on, and I know a lot of people in the field of sociology are really in touch with it, this generation in their 20s are very suspicious of the whole kind of commitment that goes into a traditional marriage. When you're 28 or 29, men and women seem to be holding back unless they have this total desire to have a child from making that commitment, because it's proved to be not work, and they don't present an alternative. And this is what these authors do. They present an alternative with open relationships.
And it's something they've done too. It's not, they're not presenting something that is theory, or I remember, I think I read Open Marriage back in the 70s and they got divorced really quickly. It was kind of, I mean, the thing is, we want something that works, right?
Yeah, and they get into the nature of sexuality and how it is, it conforms to the universe, in the sense that the universe is, you could argue, is in continual state of orgasm. Asteroids flying by, volcanoes, hurricanes, change of seasons, flowers in bloom. The universe is continually expanding, producing, and yet we want to, as human beings, solidify things, make them firm, make them safe. It's just, we are, in a sense, going against the nature of the universe. We don't, you could, I was into to a thing called bioenergetics for a number of years. And Stanley Kellerman, who was a teacher with that, talked about, we take in energy, food, we transform energy, and we release energy.
Yes.
We take in energy, we transform, and we excrete. We take in energy, we transform, and we become orgasmic. When that flow is a natural flow, there's harmony.
Yes.
But we take in energy, or we refuse to take it in, or we hold the energy too long, and we get constipation.
Right.
Or if we don't hold it at all, we're diarrhea, we run through. So the process is in a sense, a natural process. Lining up with the forces of the universe is, in a sense, our job.
Yes.
It's what's demanded us, and yet we don't do it.
Yeah, we've got to learn to let that energy flow through us instead of, I know that I used to weigh over 200 pounds, and I had a lot of stuff stored here.
Yeah.
And once that started, once I got more once I realized that I could release these things and I can move that energy through my body, it went away. And all I did was meditate. I did not exercise, or perceivably, I didn't diet or anything. It was just a new attitude and letting go and letting the energy flow.
Yeah.
So I think that's the basis of it. It sounds, it's something that we are terrified of, as a matter of fact. And I know I've been terrified of my own sexuality because I was taught that if I had sex, I would go to hell. So, I held on to that for a long time.
Yeah, and the institutions of society, especially religion, forever have realized that they can control human beings in two ways if they touch into the basic appetites of human beings, and that is food and sex. And you won't find a religion in the world that doesn't have restrictions on food and sex.
Yes.
I was brought up a Catholic, and we couldn't eat meat on Friday, and I don't know why we couldn't eat meat on Friday, but if you did, it was a sin, and it's like, and I wanted to eat meat on Friday. I don't know why, but when they restricted it, that's what everybody wanted to do. But when they have you by your basic appetite, they control you in your basic nature. And so the authors break through that and celebrate their sexuality. They celebrate the the human experience in investigating the eros
Yes.
in life, as well as recognizing the need for security, for warmth, for continuity, and how that plays out, or how we play that out, is really changing a lot, but it's really essential, because when you deny one or the other, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, we're in this place of tension right now, and just when I look at the world now that I've read that book, and I'm going to read it again, and there are two other books that Terra Nova is by Dieter Duhm, and Temple of Love is by Sabine Lichtenfels, and I've read hers, and I'm going to read Terra Nova next. But now when I look at the world, I mean, I've already had a really hard time. I feel totally disenfranchised from politics. I have pretty much all of my life. And I see politics, it doesn't matter what flavor they are now, they're all going off the cliff in a bus, and they'd like to take us with them. So I like to look at this type of thing, because I see a new world unfolding before us, and it doesn't have much to do, frankly, with the world that we're trying to fight against right now, because it doesn't have that as its basis. It has cooperation as its basis, right? So
yeah, actually, my wife and myself have been in a selective, open relationship for 30 years, and it's worked. It's not that there aren't complications, but the complications that come up are usually what you need to deal with, and primarily it's jealousy.
yeah,
Jealousy is the devil in our culture, in
the
our
overriding
world.
thing, yeah.
And it comes up, and we don't really investigate it, because when you get down deep into jealousy, you're talking about my personal insecurity, my self-doubt, my need to cling to another, and hold and hold and hold.
And control.
And control. And when you get into an open relationship, and not everybody, it's not for everybody, I won't say that. But when you get into it, you'll find challenges that will open you up and for exploration, and not just in this area, but in life. We've bonded with many, many people in our relationship. When you're totally honest with other people, you find just a wealth of ways to experience life, to experience them, to experience yourself, and it can be fun.
Well, I really think that if I want to talk about this book some more, I want to talk about the vision for the future of the world, where we are part of the Earth's microbiome, or we're part of the Earth's biome. We recognize that we have a place on this planet, and that part of that is just our own sensuality, and it shouldn't be shut down. If it is shut down, then there's something wrong with it. There's a reason why that needs to be done, and it's not a good reason for humans, because what we tend to do is take things that have been done to us and do them to the next person, and maybe do it to the planet now. Yeah. Beck, we're out of time, but okay. That was really a good start. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope to speak about this again.
Great, thanks for sending me the book.
Thank you for watching this last segment of Citizens Forum.